Hi, I'm Chris Gasper, and this is Globe 10.0, joined today by Greg Lee. Well, Red Sox manager Terry Francona announced on Wednesday that Jon Lester was going to be his opening day starter April 1 in Texas. Not a surprise, but Terry Francona was not tipping his hand down in spring training. Interesting thing here, Greg, what does this mean now that Terry Francona is finally admitting that his number one starter is not Josh Beckett, it's Jon Lester, something we've all known, I think, for quite some time, but the Red Sox have been loath to admit.
Well, it takes some time. You know, really, all of us know Lester. He's been very consistent the last 2 years. He won 19 games last year. He's been your best pitcher. So
For a while.
But, you know, sometimes, you know, you want to see him do it over a long period of time. You know, take over a guy like Josh Beckett who has credentials too, but he hasn't brought the goods the last couple of years. But you wanted to see over some time if Lester would be consistent and keep going, and he has over a long, extended period of time. So yes, I think Jon Lester, you know, deserves it. Everyone knew that, but you don't want to do it over a short term. Remember, Beckett did it the last two years, and starting opening day. So I just think that over time, you know, some managers want to be loyal. You know,
I'll tell you this, Greg, I think the mantle was passed when they made the decision the last time they made the playoffs. When you go back to 2009, they said we're going to start the playoffs against the Angels with Jon Lester. To me, that's more meaningful than who the opening day start. When you get into a playoff series, these are games you absolutely positively have to win. You set up your rotation with the way you think is the most favorable for you, and the guy you chose was Lester. Now, look, there were some injury issues there with Beckett, and that affected his performance down the stretch in 2009. He still ended up winning, 17 games. He pitched really well, but when they needed it, they went with Lester. To me, that's more telling than this decision. To me, this was a no-brainer.
No, it's definitely a no-brainer, but like I said, Francona's a loyal guy.
He is. And that's one of his strengths.
It's one of his strengths. You know, just go back with Big Poppy last year when he was slumping. Francona stuck with the guy, and eventually it paid off. He stuck with Beckett for as long as he could for this decision. And then finally reality set in for him.
So, I mean, what does it mean? Does it mean now that Lester is the undisputed ace of the staff? We're not going to have to hear any more co-ace. And does it mean that maybe if we don't get 16, 17 wins out of Josh Beckett, that in the Red Sox thinking, okay, well, you know, Lester's our ace. If we get 14, 15 wins out of Josh, does it lower the expectations for Beckett as much as it raises them for Lester?
I think it probably motivate Beckett you know, I think he's a prideful guy, and to say that he's not the number one, you know, he always thinks of himself as the ace. So this is a way of motivating him, hopefully, to not have those expectations of 14, 15 games, but be the expectation to be that guy who's that number two who's getting 18 and 19 victories. So I think it's going to be a very big year for Beckett if he stays healthy, because I think pride gets, you know, he's a very prideful guy. And I think Lester deserves it. He knows Lester deserves it, but Beckett is also prideful.
Okay, so this could be a win-win. Maybe it motivates Josh Beckett, but Jon Lester, clearly the ace for the Red Sox, and he'll be the starter on opening day.